Yo, what up, what up? It's your man, Big Brandon Carter, and I'm here with a very special guest. Well, I'm actually his guest. We're in the back of his Bentley. This is my man, Dan LOK.
Hey, thanks, Brandon. Thanks for coming to Vancouver.
No problem. Hey, man, you invited me, and I couldn't say no, man. And those of y'all don't know Dan, he's like the king of high ticket sales.
You have King Keto, king of high ticket sales. Two kings.
It's the kings, man.
Meeting,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. King's table.
Like the round table or something like that, and Dan, he has a huge, amazing online business, a sales business and sales training business, and I'm actually out here doing some consulting with Dan, right? Because I'm trying to, last year we did well over $1 million. We got the 2 Comma Club from award from ClickFunnels, and but we also sold a lot on other platforms besides ClickFunnels. So we did really well. But I think for me to get to 8 figures, I really have to like do some of the stuff you're doing, like high ticket closing.
Yeah.
And I've been implementing it successfully, but I kind of came out here to consult with Dan on how I can build that part of my business up to a higher level. However, these guys, that might be above their pay grade. I think they need to get to $1 million first before they start talking about
the first $100,000.
Get to the first $100,000, before they start talking about how they get to 8 figures or build their own sales force.
Yeah.
So, Dan, I was wondering if you can give our guys some tips on how to do it, because I basically fumbled my way there,
School hard knocks.
School hard knocks.
Yeah.
How did you do it?
I would say, first of all, depends on where they are at, where you are at. That I believe the first 100K is a magic number.
It's a milestone.
It's a milestone, because less than 6% of the population makes over 100K a year.
Is that in Canada or worldwide?
North America.
North America.
6%.
Wow.
And less than 1% of the population makes over $325,000 a year.
Really?
Yeah. So when you
that makes you 1%. That's 1%.
1%.
That's what they're talking about.
That's 1% of the population. So you're more than more than 1%.
Yeah,
right?
Y'all stop protesting me.
Yeah. So, but what I found is most people, they could have a job, they're working a small business, making could be 50, 60, 80K, 90K a year. But what I notice is whenever someone goes over that 100K mark, that becomes a new comfort zone. I rarely see people hitting their 100K, suddenly they go back to 50K.
Yeah.
Whenever they hit 100K, that becomes a new comfort, a new standard. Yeah. They will do whatever they need to do to maintain that.
Why is that? Is that a mental thing?
I think it's a mental thing. I think really it's kind of the 4-minute mile. I think it's a mental thing that once they see themselves as, I am a 6-figure earner, I don't do anything less than that.
Oh, and they rarely go back.
Rarely go back. Even if there's some dip, they will do whatever they could to get back up there.
Yeah.
But also, that's also the challenge. I also see a lot of people, they stay at their 100K for a long time. Because from 100K to a million, that's a big difference. That's not even hustling, working harder. It's not. Like maybe your story. How you went from 100K to $1 million. Do you work 10 times harder? No.
No, because you couldn't.
You couldn't.
Like I couldn't work 10 times because it was different hours. Like there's not enough hours. I couldn't put in 10 times the hours. Because I was doing 16, 14-hour days to get to 100K.
Right.
It took strategy. A lot of it was just mentors. Like I got my first mentor around that part. It was 2 of them, Elliot Holtz, and then another guy who actually lives here, man. He doesn't live here, he's from here. Dude named Matt Gallant, and they were like my mentors, and they kind of guided me to get, to get more. But I think it's because when I listened to him, I found out how to work like smarter, but I learned a lot of different skills.
Correct. Correct. To me, it's a different skill set. What got you to the 100K won't get you to that 1 mil.
Yeah.
So it's a different skill set, but more importantly, I think it's who you are as an entrepreneur, your business model. Because 100K, you can hustle, you can work long hours, you can work with client one-on-one, you get there, but when you get to $1 mil, it's leverage.
Yeah.
It's one to many.
Yeah.
It's no longer one-on-one. You cannot get that with one-on-one, right?
Nah, I don't think so, man. Like I think the fastest way to get to 6 figures is one-on-one. Like,
yes.
So I do business coaching for fitness entrepreneurs.
I agree.
And we used to make people start with like one-to-many stuff, but it would take too long.
No, too long.
Then we switched it a few years ago to start with high-ticket sales, like same kind of stuff that you teach, but like for fitness, right?
Yes.
High-ticket coaching, right? And now, we got people making 10 grand a month out the gate, know, and I think to scale, then you build your funnel or your value ladder from underneath that. That's
I'll
what it worked for me.
share my journey and then I'll teach a concept.
Okay.
First of all, the concept I teach it's also on my YouTube channel. It's called the wealth triangle.
Okay.
Right? We talk about this, where imagine a triangle. There are 3 corners, right? 3 pillars.
Yeah.
The first is what I call high income skills, and I define high income skills as skills that could make you, 10,000 a month, let's say.
Okay.
So minimum, basically 100K a year, right? 120K a year. And most people, I think that's the first step.
Yeah,
they need to get there first.
You need to have some confidence.
You need to have some confidence.
Yeah.
It could be one particular skill set, right? So for me, my first skill set was actually copywriting. In my early 20s, I found a man who taught me how to write sales
I wanted
copy.
to talk to you about that because it's so strange. Like I was the opposite way around. Like I was good at sales, which helped me with copy, but that's so strange.
Yes, I learned the copy first, then I learned sales, right?
That's interesting. Yeah.
So that's my very first high income skill. It was in my early 20s. I was making about 10,000 a month as a copywriter, which to a guy when I was in my early 20s, it was good. It was good money. It was good money coming in, right? And then from there, as I was writing copy for clients, they were coming to me and say, "Hey, Dan, you wrote this beautiful piece of copy. How the hell am I going to use this thing?" Then it turned into consulting.
Okay.
So from copywriting, my first high income skill then evolved into consulting. So I added another 6-figure income to my bottom line, to what I do, right? Then from consulting evolved to deal making and public speaking and doing all these things. So the first stage, high income skill. The second stage is what I call scalable business. Okay. This is how you go from 100K to $1 million. Okay. As a scalable business, now notice I said scalable business, not just any business. So I define it as a business that you could scale without a lot of infrastructure and without a lot of capital. Okay. So you think about someone opening up a restaurant. Yeah. That's not a scalable business. It's not. Because every time you open up a second location, you got to sign a 10-year lease. You got to put money into renovation, all this stuff, right? So take this, and then you start your second stage. Now the problem is, Brandon, most people they sometimes want to start a scalable business without the high income skills. That's the problem.
That's what we used to. That's the problem. I learned that when I first started like consulting for fitness people. They had the skill, which was fitness, right? Yeah. But being a good personal trainer is it's a business technically, but it's a job. You've created a job for yourself. Yeah. So it's different. You know what I mean? So
that's what I said. It's a high income skill, not a high income job.
Exactly.
Because some people ask me, well, if I have a high income job, does that count? It doesn't count because when you have a high income job, who dictates how much you get paid? Yeah. It's your manager, your boss, right? The corporate structure. But versus a high income skill, who determines how much you get paid? The marketplace. Right. So I could be getting paid $5,000 right now, but if I upgrade my skill or upgrade my closing skill, I could make more money next month. Exactly. I dictate my own worth, right? Yeah. So I have mobility. Yeah. I can work as much as I want, I can work as little as I want. So that's why it's high income skill, not high income job.
For sure.
Once you have that scalable business, what happens is you have your high income skill, it provides you with income, right? So you have stability. But most people, they jump into just, I want to start a business. Because people talk about it all the time, you see it on social media. Start your own business, man. I'm like, okay, so you're making $30,000, $40,000 a year. You have no business acumen, no business skills. And you're gonna fucking go start a business.
Like, what are you good at?
What are you good at? Yeah. Right? But they see, but entrepreneurs, they make a lot of money. I'll do that. That's not how it works.
You gotta have some skills. You gotta be good at something.
You see, even on Dragon's Den, you see Shaq Tank. Yeah. People, hey, I invented this widget. I mortgaged my homes. I borrow money from family and friends, and now I want to start this business. And then they produce gazillion of these widgets. And they say, hey, Dragon, invest in me. It's like, I'm not gonna fucking invest in you. You can't sell worth of shit. Yeah. Right?
Because it's like ideas aren't important. It's execution. It's like if somebody says, I need $10,000 to start this business. I'm like, yo, if you can't turn $1 into $2, like why should I trust you with $10,000? Why should you trust yourself with $10,000?
I always say if you cannot make money without money, you probably cannot make money with money.
No.
Because you cannot multiply 0.
Exactly.
So once you have your scalable business provides you with what I call cash flow or profit, right, from a business. Then you move into stage 3, which is what I call high return investments.
Okay.
Now you go into the investments. And I define high return investments as investments that will give you 10% return year in and year out. Okay. 10% minimum.
10% minimum.
But not capital gain. So I'm not talking about buying something and flipping it. I'm talking continuous investment.
Okay.
So this is what builds your net worth and your wealth.
Got you.
Okay. Now you also see people who want to get rich quick. They jump into high return investments. Oh, let me do cryptocurrency. Let me buy a piece of real estate with no money down. I got no money, but I'm gonna buy a piece of property with no money down.
Yeah.
Then what happens?
Yeah.
Right. And then the whole thing, when the tenant moves out, the toilet breaks, they're in trouble because they don't have this foundation.
Yeah.
Versus, you do 1, 2, and 3, and you cannot skip this process.
Yeah.
It's 1, 2, and 3, and you see this. And when I teach this to people, now they know. Oh, now I know where I'm at. I need to focus on what I need to focus on first.
That's perfect.
Forget about this investment shit.
Yeah.
Think about, okay, you're gonna go into investments. You're gonna buy a piece of property. You're gonna buy stocks, whatever you buy.
Yeah.
You're making fucking $3K a month. How much can you buy?
Yeah.
What difference does it make?
And what kind of returns are you gonna
get?
What,
it makes no difference.
Like even if you got 20% returns on your $1,000 investment, like what are you gonna do with
that? What are you gonna do? In 20 years, you have a little bit of money. What difference does it make?
Yeah.
And the thing is, in the investment world, there's a term called credit investor. Okay, so it means that you're at a certain income threshold.
Yeah.
A lot of investments open up to you when you're in credit investing.
Yeah, well, you can't. There's a lot of stuff you can't even do unless you're an accredited investor.
A lot of these like more private investments,
like the reals.
Yeah, like rich people, they don't buy mutual funds, right? I don't buy mutual funds, right? So it's more for the public.
Right.
So you need to get to that certain point. So it is, like you might say, well, then that's not fair. Well, when is the world fair?
Never.
It is not fair.
That's a made believe. This is make believe.
It is not fair. When you are financially successful, their investments open up to you. There are even tax advantages. There are a lot of different things you could do.
Yeah.
That most people could not do.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is, right? So instead of bitching about it, know that's the game that you need to play.
Man.
Just get there.
That's what I always thought, man. I have a lot of disadvantages, and I never really complain about it, man. I just try to find a way to win anyway, you know.
And that's why I have so much respect, like for both you and I. We came from you came from a poor background.
Yeah,
I came from a poor background as an immigrant boy who came to this country at 14 years old. I couldn't speak a word of English with no money. Living with my mom in a 1-bedroom apartment, right? Sleeping on the floor.
Yeah, because your dad wasn't with you, right?
Yeah, because my dad. My mom and dad got divorced when I was 16 years old. Yeah. And then when I was 17 years old, my dad went bankrupt. He was $1 million in debt.
Wow.
So it wiped him out. It wiped him out financially, but also emotionally.
So he was like a different person.
He was a different person. He was never the same man ever again. And so loss is always confidence. Loss. And I actually learned something from that. You know, you hear about the concept about financial freedom. Like, oh, you want to be financially free. I used to believe in that.
Yeah.
I don't believe in that anymore.
What do you believe in?
I think it's a myth. Because what I notice is, even through my own life, because how do you define financial freedom? Yeah. If you study, let's say, Robert Kiyosaki, he talks about when your passive income exceeds your personal expense, you're financially free. Doesn't mean you may have millions of dollars. Right. Let's say your personal expense is $5,000, your passive income coming in more than $5,000, you're financially free. Right. What I notice is, just because you're free today doesn't mean you're free tomorrow. What if something happens? What if something happens to business? When? What are you going to do when something happens? When is something going to happen? So that is a myth. And also, what I also notice is business goes through ups and downs. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter how smart you are as an entrepreneur. It goes through ups and downs. So when that happens is, what I used to happen to me is when I made a bad investment, suddenly I became less free. You weren't as free anymore. Okay. Yeah. But what I could always rely on is my own abilities. So instead of aiming for financial freedom, I say aim for financial confidence. That was deep. In the webinar we did, the training, like that was my favorite part. Like, because it resonated with me so much. Because one of the reasons I was able to, when I did quit my job, I was working like 2-3 jobs. You know, when I was in my business on the side, really trying to get it going. When I was able to quit doing all that, like what gave me the confidence was like I felt. Even if this fails, well, we'll talk about it in another video. Like I set myself up
to succeed, right? But I had even more confidence because I just feel like even now, like whatever happens, man, like I've made attained a skill that I can go out and do this again, or do or like I won't starve. Like I have a skill that I can monetize, the high income skills.
That's exactly
right?
it.
And that's why I love so much about your was it a pyramid or a triangle?
A wealth triangle.
With a triangle, like if you fail at one level, it's cool because you got the next level.
That's
you got
right.
the level below it that you can rebuild from. But if you don't build the levels and you start at 3, then you what do you do?
That's why you can see online a lot, unfortunately on social media online, you see people, oh, this guy made X amount of dollars in X amount of days, or he made this amount of money in this 1 year.
Yeah.
When I have been in business for this long, when you have experience, that doesn't impress me at all. Like, so the guy made X amount, tens of millions of dollars in 1 year, so fucking what? Don't study guys like that. Study guys who have been successful for a long time. So not the one-hit wonder. Study guys who've been in business and they are consistently growing.
Yeah, that's the key.
For 10, 15, 20 years, that's the guys you study. You look at in the even internet marketing industry, there's some of the biggest names. They're no longer around, they're gone. A lot of these names that disappear, they're no longer active. So what's so impressive about that? So you're successful. That's why I say it's not difficult to get rich, it's difficult to stay rich. It's totally different skills. So what happens is, goes back to the wealth triangle, something happens to my investments, okay, I make a bad investment. Ups and downs in my business, okay, but I always have my high income skills I could rely on.
Exactly.
That's financial confidence. Because I'm not counting on my business to make me money, because I know it's not the business that makes me money, it's I make me money.
Exactly.
Right? Whatever you sell, whatever value you bring to the marketplace, it might change. Today you might sell this program, next year you might sell something else. It has nothing to do with the program.
And the media changes too.
The media changes.
Whatever, like, maybe it's Facebook ads.
Maybe something else.
Yeah, it might be
something
else.
else.
Be something else.
It doesn't matter, because when you know closing, I don't mean just closing one-on-one, I mean closing in general, in terms of in print, in terms of in social media, through camera, through video. When you have that skill, then it really doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, you are communicating to another human being. You're connecting with a human being in exchange of value, in exchange of money.